What's going on, everyone, and welcome to episode or number 6 of the Overcaffeinated and Overqualified podcast with myself, Ryan, and David, or Chef DeMarco.
Hello, hello.
How we doing today, David?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Pretty good for working half a day. It was pretty good. Felt good, honestly. I was dreading, kind of getting up and going. I was like, do I really want to go to work today? I really don't want to. It's supposed to be my day off. But then I got there and was doing stuff, and it was like, yes, I'm glad I came in. Definitely got a lot done, so felt
Awesome.
pretty good.
Why did you have to go in exactly?
So I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but like outside of my my base job,
Mm-hmm.
I'm also like the training facilitator at our plant now.
Interesting.
Um, I went through a leadership step up program before the summer, and it was like 4 months, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And coming out of that, part of like the thing with that, my project presentation thing for it
Right.
was improvements to our JI program, which is part of training.
Right.
And then it kind of ended up encompassing like all of the training stuff at our plant. And now I'm like in charge of it all, and everything kind of like is supposed to go through me and stuff.
Is
So,
it more pay then?
yeah, I got more money for it and stuff.
Awesome. That's yeah. That's good.
So like before, for like the last like 2 months, maybe even 3 months, I've been like doing a little bit of it just when I work normally, like
Mm-hmm.
doing my regular, like when I'm doing my regular job.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't like, I don't know, I wasn't doing a lot, I would say. It wasn't nothing, but I wasn't getting as much done as I probably needed to, or like there's a lot of stuff that needs to get done that I didn't get done before, like
Right.
when I was in my training. When it just comes to getting things up to date and uniformity and stuff like that, like there's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff that could get done, and it just requires a lot of time. And
Mm-hmm.
with the amount of time I have in between doing what I normally do when I go to work, it's just like enough time to get done what you kind of have to get done. And even some of that stuff over the last like month, I haven't really gotten done in a timely manner. So
Interesting.
there was just stuff that like kind of had to get done, and it was just like, hey, do you need like more time to do this? Like, it's like, yes, I would love more like time to do it. Like, yes, I'd love to come in like one extra day every other week, or twice a month, and just like work on this, because then I can, when you get just able to focus on that one thing, like
Right.
that one extra task, as it were, it's so much easier to get things done. Like I got everything done today that would maybe have taken me like a week of like doing it during work to do. And when you're doing other stuff, like you don't want to be doing this in a sense, you know what I mean? Like when
Right.
I'm doing a kneeling, I want to be doing a kneeling and stuff that encompasses like that, not worrying about this kind of stuff. I mean, like if someone has a
Interesting.
question or I need to talk to someone, I mean that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like the list of things that you kind of have to do, or like updating a whole bunch of things or stuff like that, it's easier to do it when you're just doing that for a day. And you definitely get a lot more done when you're just focused on that one thing. So,
Interesting. Interesting. So, are you
and
basically making a presentation to present to new employees, or for training, or?
I'm hopefully eventually I'll be part of like I'm already part of like the new hire training process, but I don't do the training. Eventually, I want to be part of that, like the backup for it. The EH&S people do that right now. So
Right.
like the health and safety people, they've always done the new hire presentation.
Mm-hmm.
But what the way like the program works is there's stuff that I actually do for it, and stuff like that. But when it comes to like making sure that they're the stuff's getting done with like their trainers and stuff, like yeah, that is like my responsibility, to make sure like they're progressing with things and stuff like
Right.
that. And then if they have questions, you can come to me and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I don't actually do the training stuff
Right.
in a sense. Like it's more like I said, I'm like it's a facilitator. That's supposed to be what my role is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm answering questions, directing more like that's what I mean. That's more of like the thing, like I said, how I said, updating things and keeping things up to date and that kind of stuff. Like that's more of the position that it's supposed to be.
I see now. I get it. It makes sense. You're the middle guy to, like you said, facilitate, which is a good word.
Yeah.
for that,
So
for people that are coming in.
it definitely, like I said, it definitely initially it wasn't like something that I thought I was going to need kind of more time for to do it. But then as like sharing time with the other thing, it was kind of like, yeah, if I just had the day to worry about this, I could get more done and it would work out a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to like, in my personal opinion too, this kind of goes when encompassing anything when you're doing, when you, when you are officially, when you're officially assigned something that's outside of your normal like job, right? So like I'm an annealing operator. That's my job. That's what I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
paid to do. So this is something outside of that. So being as it's something outside of that, in my opinion, it shouldn't be something that I should be expected to do during that annealing time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like yes, like I said before, if there's like something that needs done, or there's a question or someone that I need to talk to, then that's okay. But if that's not the case, then I shouldn't have to worry about this when I'm doing annealing because I should be worrying about that, not this.
I
You know what
see
I mean?
now. Mm-hmm.
But like I said, if there's a question, that's fine. So it's worked out in a way that now I'm gonna be. I have that time, twice a month or whenever,
Mm-hmm.
to come in and just worry about this, and I don't have to worry about, you know,
I
it's
can relate to that. Yeah.
yeah. How so?
Basically, we were trying to we're trying to fix like the main catering menu for at work.
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to revamp it, maybe get new trends, stuff like that. When I came on board, that was one of my goals, was to elevate it a little bit with new trends going around for the food scene. Excuse me. Basically, I was just going to go over the menu that we have and add to it, or
Mm-hmm.
add different things to it. But when you're at, like you're saying, when you're at work and you're working on specific things, your mind doesn't. You don't want your mind to wander as much.
Yeah.
So I think if I start doing what you're saying, which is coming in like an extra day or allotting 3 hours
Mm-hmm.
before my shift starts, per se, like what we have to do that day.
Yeah.
Three. I was just saying 3 hours just to kind of give a basis.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like 2 hours or 1 hour, because we're basically going to send all of the new stuff to a graphic designer to basically make the packet for clients to come in and to look at. It's more,
Yeah.
the word that I want to say is it's more digestible. When you read something and it's like for a wedding and you're spending 15K on a wedding,
Yeah.
you want it very cut and dry.
Simple. Simple.
No frills. You know what I mean? You want to see the menu items. You want to see vice versa, and then you basically just want to say yes or no
Hey.
to stuff.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to read a description about this package that you want to get.
Yeah, like if you have like these is like a package, so like this package is like package one is X meat with X side, X this, X that,
It's
and then
very basic,
package
but
two
yeah.
is like the same meat, but then you change up all the sides or something, or one of the packages comes with bread, the other one doesn't.
It's a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah.
But when you add stuff too, you wanna add it in a way that's gonna be cohesive.
Okay.
So we're
Yeah.
we're basically revamping, and we want to do it before January or February next year. So we got some time, but you have to work on it over time. It's not one of those things you do in a day and finish. It's
Yeah. It
especially when
takes
you
a little
add
bit.
something, you want to test it, you want to prepare it, and you want to see what it feels like to you. Is it going to be easy to do 300 of these, 400 of these, whether it's like a little thing or a big thing? Because you got to think of labor, you got to think of costing, food costs. It all plays a part into that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to take what you say, like what you said just now with managing I guess it's managing time well, basically.
Yeah. 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 Well, there's a lot of time management stuff when it comes to like when you have more responsibilities outside of like I said your general like job description. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to kind of be able to manage your time a little bit more, be willing to allow time for stuff like that. That's why, like I said, like if you're given a task or responsibility outside of like that normal description of what you would normally do, it's nice to be allowed that set aside time to just focus on that. So then you're able
Exactly.
to you get a lot more done when you're just able to focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely realized that like today, like I've set aside like a couple hours, like you said, during other shifts to do that. But at the same time, like I'm in the environment where I'm of my normal job, so I'm still thinking about that, and something comes up for that. You got to go do that, and then you got to come back, and you're
Right.
like it's almost kind of like, where were you? What was I doing in a way? So you don't get as much done in like the same amount of time almost.
Right. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. So that's good that we're both on the same page with time management. I recently just moved to an apartment, so it's basically you take everything you own, put it in a box, and move it to another location, which is quite fun. Ryan helped with that. We moved some of the bigger furniture on Sunday, which was exciting. It wasn't
Mhm.
as fun or enjoyable for me because you kind of have to unpack afterwards. But we're at a stage where we're pretty comfortable with how everything is and
Uh-huh.
where it's at. I'm finishing my office tonight. Books aren't even on the shelf yet behind me, so that's going on. But my desk is set up. Obviously, the stream's set up because we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't. But I need a longer Ethernet cord, which is going to go in the near future, hopefully. But for now, it's fine. It's kind of, it's kind of going from the floor to the PC. There's no like hiding it right now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then obviously when I'm done here, and I'm done streaming, I'll unplug it because it's a hazard. Like let's say I trip over it, and knock over the
Oh,
PC,
so it's
which
like nice and tight or taunt. It's
it's
not.
it's directly in the air towards where it's sitting. It's. I might have to send you a picture. It's quite funny.
That's really
But
funny.
I just need a longer one. I need like 5 more feet max, and then because I think this one's 25 feet, which is
Yeah, just
quite
pick
long.
up the classic 50 footer.
The classic fit.
Yeah, it's
I might
classic
not use
50
all
footer.
of it, but it could help more or less.
Yeah, classic
So
50 footer. Everyone will contest to that one.
right. I do like this one I have because it's thin. It's a thin Ethernet, so you can kind of hide it in the crevice of the wall.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're pretty set. We're pretty set up right now. We feel pretty good, at least with the area we're in on the third floor. I'm not gonna say where it's at, but it's on the third floor. So there's a lot of statistics going on that I've looked up with third floor apartments, like heat rises. So
Yeah,
let's say in the winter, like people's heat. Some people say that the middle floor is better, but like then you have people all around you, top,
yeah.
bottom, left, right, center. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
right now the people across the hallway just moved out. People below us are really nice. They're cool. I met them the other day. I think they have a kid. I'm not sure. I haven't heard the kid at all. If they have a kid, and there's no pets allowed in the apartment, so that's cool. There's no like barking or whatever dogs do. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah,
But I have no issues so far. Everything's going really well. Um, but yeah,
yeah. That's definitely good when you can move in and then like the time they matter and then kind of everything like set up. Like I
exactly.
know, I don't know if it was the second. I know like this when I moved into my house, I had like like that. Like, it was like definitely that more of like, all right, I want to move. I want to get everything done. I want to get everything set up like right now, and I want to be done.
Hmm.
Like it wasn't. I didn't want to drag it out. I feel like definitely the first time I moved, when I moved into the apartment, it was more of like you can drag it out a little bit. Take my time, take our time with stuff.
Right.
But like when I moved into my house, it was like, all right, I'm getting this unpacked now. We're getting it all done so I can be done. I don't want to mess with any of this stuff because it's just definitely had probably some more definitely had more stuff moving into the house than I did in the apartment. But I mean,
Right.
like you can get tests like that living on your own. Like I always like to tell people it's a lot more when you first get on your own and you're like doing something by yourself. There's a lot more the purchases that go into like a house or even an apartment than you would think when it comes to
Exactly.
like all of the cooking stuff you need. Like there's so many things that you need that you wouldn't even think of.
Right.
And right off the bat, that's a lot. It's a lot of money right off
Hmm.
the bat. When you first go and buy like the simple food things that like you have for a while, like that's a lot more than you think of. And stocking the house with all of like your basic living things that you need.
Right.
You know, like it's a lot more than you think of initially.
Hmm.
And like I said, that stuff definitely adds up when if you don't, yeah, it just adds up. You could simply say, and some people you can definitely get in some trouble with that. I mean, I know that's something that I got into trouble with.
Right. And it's funny because you said cooking stuff. I have such a surplus of just
Hmm.
random pans and utensils, and we had probably 70 spoons, like just regular like silverware spoons that I've accumulated over my time just from moving my mom's house. Regardless, the things
Mhm.
we needed mainly were like furniture, like a kitchen table, couches, end tables, coffee tables,
Yeah.
and then for some reason curtains are so expensive.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing that'll get you
It's
like
just like,
your kind of your furniture stuff too. If you
yeah.
don't have any of that, tables, curtains, um, if you don't already have like a bed set and stuff like that, like
Mm-hmm.
all of that's like a decent amount of money to invest in something right away. Furniture,
Right.
all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So we purchased a couple things. Purchased a coffee table and chairs, which was like all the stuff we bought was from like Let Go or Facebook Marketplace.
Uh huh.
But other than that, we pretty much all got like hand me downs more or less from other
Mhm.
people, or my mom had like the dresser or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, what else did we get? I mean, that's basically it. It's all just over time we've accumulated from our different places we lived before and then brought it all together. The furniture
Yeah.
was the main thing we needed to buy. We didn't buy
Mhm.
anything new, which I guess is a good thing. Also, kind of a bad thing because the couch smells like dog. But we're working on it. We're gonna get it dry cleaned and steam cleaned, and it's gonna fix it.
Yeah. Do what you can to work out the smell.
Right. Yeah, it will get there. I'm not worried about it. Febreze, man. Febreze everything. But I mean, that was basically it. The move was great. Today I did a demonstration at a company, brick and mortar company for their. It was for their insurance company from their HR department. These guys were just like construction guys. They were mainly just selling like the company's based in Virginia, but they're selling like backhoes, not bulldozers, but like that kind of big machinery.
Yeah, industrial equipment.
Yeah, so their HR hired me through another company to do a healthy demo, like a healthy food demo. I had the whole spiel. I don't have a picture pulled up on my computer. I would show you guys, but I had a table, two burners, all the ingredients, and I basically just did a demo inside their lobby. I did a low
So
carb. What's up?
so did you? Okay, I think you were gonna say that, but so did you like demo like the different types of like food options for like eating
So from
like eating like meal plans almost?
yeah, so basically what I was told to do was prepare one meal that was quote unquote healthy. I kind of have a different vibe for that. The reason why I say that is because when you use anything with a lot of soy sauce, you have to worry about cholesterol and sodium levels depending on how old you are. I know for us it doesn't really like we should obviously be conscientious of our sodium and cholesterol levels. When you're older, you really should, to be
Hmm.
honest, more or less. So
Yeah.
I did a low carb keto cauliflower fried rice with a ginger soy honey glazed chicken. I know that's a lot thrown at you, but it's basically just like a stir fry with cauliflower.
Cauliflower instead of rice.
Yeah, and you just rice it up in a food processor, put
Mm.
everything together with your aromatics, ginger, garlic, a little sesame oil, and I did it all right in front of them. And they were blown away. And I had rave reviews about the food, and in reality, I do that about once a week on my own because it's healthy, quote unquote, and you're not eating a lot of carbs, which for people that are keto or ketogenic or they're trying to live that diet lifestyle,
Yeah.
it's good for that.
Hmm.
So they were all blown away. They were super excited. I knew one of the people that worked there. He graduated with us. I'm not going to name drop, but he graduated with us, and I forgot to mention that to you before we started. But he was cool. I met him again, or I seen him again. I didn't meet him again, but I seen him again. We talked a little bit about what we're doing now, obviously, and I was doing what I do now, which is cook food for a living, which is quite exciting. And he's doing his thing at the place I was at. But they loved it. I was only there for an hour. I got paid pretty good to do it, so it
Hmm.
was exciting. And that's all I did today. And then I took a nap, so I had a pretty good day, man.
Yeah, that's definitely like that's a really cool thing to be able to do for
Hmm.
like the food. You call it like the culinary degree. You could just call it that, but like
Yeah,
being able to like go to a company and like companies who, I mean, that's a big thing now. Just because I would say companies want productivity out of their people, and they also care in a sense about their employees' health and stuff like that. So
hmm,
the best way to like show that you care about your employees' health, or make sure that they're good to go on the job, is obviously you can't feed them all the time, but you can provide them with the information for them to like feed themselves better and be healthier
right.
and just have a better lifestyle in a way.
I totally agree.
How you mentioned the the cauliflower thing is a substitute for like the rice.
Mm-hmm.
I try to tell people all the time now because the cauliflower is the best substitute for like carb foods
Yep.
when you make things that have like, sometimes mashed potatoes, noodles, rice like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like depending on what you make, like cauliflower is the perfect like substitute. So you get the same like fill from it, and
Mm-hmm.
like you don't even taste the difference. You know what I mean? Because you're usually when you eat certain foods, you're not even like going for like the that mashed potato taste or the noodle taste, or like this that specific rice taste. If you can make cauliflower taste the same way in the meal, then it's such a healthier choice.
And it's a good way to sneak vegetables in,
Yeah.
especially when you stir fry something together like that and mix it all together in one bowl.
Hmm.
And it adds kind of like I always say cohesive again, because if you eat stuff together, like I'm a big person. If you're gonna put food on a plate, mix it together. I hate people that don't want stuff touching. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like I gave it steak and potatoes. You're not gonna like throw potatoes on the steak. But like I love Chinese takeout fried rice. It's
Hmm.
amazing, and it's a good comparable like recipe that's gonna taste just like it.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to say is it texture wise, it's not the same at all.
Mm.
Because when you cook cauliflower, it softens
Yeah.
and it doesn't necessarily taste like rice anymore.
Hmm.
It almost tastes like if you microwave rice the next day, kind of gets soft. And regardless, it was a great recipe to bring to the people. They loved it,
Hmm.
and I cooked in front of them, which was amazing. And their whole room smelled like a Chinese restaurant. So
Everyone loves some good Chinese,
yeah, it was awesome.
without a doubt. Kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit, going into like, because you just moved again.
Hmm.
You've moved a couple times. I've moved a couple times, and both of us left home. I'd say right away after high school. You went to
Like 18,
college,
yeah.
and I moved in with my girlfriend. So when you think of people that I don't know if you could even say going to college right away, but when you leave right away, like I know a lot of people, me in particular, like senior year of high school, you're like, I'm ready to go. I want to get
Hmm.
out of here, be on my own. You know, and I think part of it is like for me, it was like I wanted to be independent. I wanted to get away from my family. Like, and it sounds bad when you say it, but like I want space. I don't want to deal with them anymore in a way.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Just like part of that like growing thing or whatever. But I don't want to deal with them anymore. I want space and that. And over time I've realized that it wasn't that I wanted to like not see them as much or like get away from them or even independence. It was more like I just didn't know how to like really manage or leverage that family relationship as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
Cause like, I mean, I still don't like, it's not like I see my family once a week, but what usually now when I do, it's for like almost a whole day or an extended period of time if we do something. And, it's like I love it and I look forward to it and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's not like, I don't know, maybe you can compare it to like, when you come home from school and every day it's like, how was your day or whatever? And you're just like, it was good. It was fine. Same thing as yesterday, nothing.
Gonna get upset.
Yeah. It's just like, leave me like, I don't, it's the same thing as yesterday. What do you want from me? I
Right.
guess. And, maybe it's that, that I see and have conversations a little bit more spread apart. So there's usually something more to talk about or whatever,
Right.
you know,
Hmm.
or maybe like I said, it's just you don't see him as much kind of thing. But I definitely feel like it has to do with managing the relationship, because I
Hmm.
definitely feel like if I lived back at home now, um, I definitely wouldn't feel like I need to get away from them. Whether that would maybe be because I am doing other things, like maybe that's the thing. I wasn't doing enough at home. Like I
Right.
maybe I spent too much time there, but I don't think that should be like a case. Like if you're like there a lot, that shouldn't like impact the relationship, or
I get it. No,
wanting you to be more independent or something like that, I guess.
I find it's. I talk to my mom probably several times a day on the phone,
Mhm.
and I'll go over there because I live very close to my mother's house to like just have dinner or like just anything, like pick up like a magazine that gets sent to the house because I get all my packages sent to my mom's because when you live in an apartment with people, like especially if you live in like a weird part of town, like there could be like package thieves. I mean, it just depends. I have a weird trust with delivering packages to my
Yeah.
house or wherever I live. If it's like in a weird part of the area, so I just get everything sent to my mom's, which
Mhm.
it's she's okay with that. There's no problem with it, and I feel safe. I feel safer when I do that. But also, I think it is when you leave home, particularly when you're younger, like when you're in your teens.
Mhm.
My older brother didn't leave my mom's until he was like probably my age now, which
Yeah.
is 3 or 4 years after I did, or 5 years after I did. Which obviously, when you go to college, you unless you live near your college, you can stay at home, and then for that period of time, be fine. But when I went to college, I dormed, so it was kind of different, and I was like almost 2 hours away from home,
Mhm.
which I really liked because, like, let's say like my mom was gonna visit, she's gonna tell me before she just comes
Yeah.
and shows up on the doorstep or whatever, which is cool because then you can kind of plan it, you kind of clean up a little bit, and
Mhm.
make sure no one's in the house that's not supposed to be there, or vice versa, so she doesn't get upset. You're having a ruckus or a party or something. But it's cool though because when you move out, I feel like the relationship grows, and I think we talked about this briefly another podcast. I'm not sure which one, probably two or three, maybe four. But regardless, the relationship gets built on trust. And if you're
Uh
if
huh.
you're communicating with your mother or your father or your siblings, obviously your brother too, or your sister,
Mhm.
you build a relationship on trust because you're telling them things that mean something to you, and they're probably going to tell you stuff that means a lot to them. And you
Yeah.
gain that like trust and
Yeah.
compatibility that you wouldn't get like if you see your brother every day. I bet you wouldn't say, you'd probably say hi, or you know what I mean, like it's not like
Yeah.
you go into deep conversation.
You wouldn't talk about the same things as you would like if you see them. I don't know, you could say less often, or it's like, oh, you get a phone call if like they need help and or something, and it's just less frequent. So you could say, like you
Exactly.
said, kind of it might have more meaning, or it gets more deep in a sense, like you said.
Right. And I talked to my brother a little bit off of Discord, which is what we use to talk mainly. But I'll
Hmm.
call him here and now. His birthday's on when's the 4th? Is that Friday? Yeah, it's Friday. His birthday's on the 4th. He's turning 22. And I'll probably see him on his birthday or whatever. I'll get him something small and
Hmm.
meaningful. But regardless, like we don't talk every day. But I
Yeah.
know that like if he needs to call me at any time, like I'm there, and then same for him. Like I can call him whenever. And obviously
Yeah.
we try to play together, and talk on Discord, like I just said. And that's basically it. We don't need to. There's no issues with that, and obviously we can go weeks without talking depending on our situation and schedules.
Hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that because I know at any moment in time he could come over and talk to me about anything, and the
Hmm.
relationship's great, and I don't hold grudges. So obviously when he stole my hat when I was 12, I'm not thinking about it now and thinking,
Yeah.
where's that hat at, man, so it's cool. We're pretty tight, so I'm happy about that.
Oh, that's awesome. It really is.
Hmm.
It's great when you can have when relationships with siblings flourish, outside of growing up, you could say, like initially growing up, I guess, like into adulthood, as it were.
Right.
Yeah, definitely cool.
It's
I I
interesting.
want I wanted to say, like, so I thought about this when you mentioned like trust and building, like,
Hmm.
building the relationship like outside, of being there, and you had the independence. So it's like I almost feel like I don't want to say I undervalued like the idea of family or like the meaning of it, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I realized, like, I guess maybe I thought that independence and everything, like, I could I don't want to say I could be okay without them, but like, or I didn't need them, you know what I mean? Like for support or whatever. Like maybe that was kind of thing. Like I thought I could just support myself and you know, I'd be okay.
Hmm.
But as I went through things on my own more, it was just like I saw and realized that your family, just kind of like your family, even more than like your closest friends, are like always there for you, and they're always like supporting you no matter like what happens.
Right.
And if something even like bad happens and you're like at the very bottom, like they're so willing to do whatever it takes to help you like be okay
Right.
and succeed. They'll do whatever it takes. And to I don't want to I guess you could say, to like go through that, it was like, wow, like family is always there and like actually is like so important. You know, you can't. I don't want to say you can't hide from it or like deny that, but
Hmm.
you know, it's just incredible to know that how important family is and that they're always there, and it makes you appreciate and embrace the relationship so much more because you know just knowing that, you know, and then if they're there for you, like you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can, obviously, for every one of them, whatever it is, whatever it takes, you know, whenever it is.
I totally agree. Family first, man. And I also think that when you have that relationship with your family and you know that they can be there whenever, it's the same
Hmm.
way though. Like I would do anything for any one of my family members, and that's even the distant cousins that I don't talk to like on a monthly basis. Obviously, it's like a when your cousins are different though. But like when your family, mother,
Hmm.
brother, sister, dad. That's
Yeah.
different, but like even if my cousins would be like, and I could have called my cousins this weekend and asked them if they want to help me move, and they would have probably been like, yeah, if their schedules permitted.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, I mean, like, I think it would work both ways for any part of
Yeah.
my family, and it's really nice that you can think that. And let's say like you moved out and you were like across state and you had to come home for some
Hmm.
reason. I have like 5 to 10 people that I could call and be like, yo, let me
Hmm.
like crash on your couch for a day
Hmm.
or two, and it would be
Yeah.
fine.
That's another really cool thing that you mentioned, that like I don't want to say like, yeah, being able to like have somewhere to stay or whatever. Like I realize I found that out more too. Like kind of I don't want to say like wanting being more willing to like go places where I have family just to like see family. Because like I said, like realizing, I guess you could say like I don't know. Obviously, I guess it's not bad to say, but realizing the importance of family through growing, you know, and maturing. Like I've wanted to reconnect with people that I haven't connected with before or that I barely see and stuff like that. So like when you're the one who like when you want to go somewhere and do uh do something.
Mm-hmm.
So like let's say I want to go to let's say I want to go to Florida to see my grandma and grandpa, whatever. Like everyone's so willing and happy to like see me and have me like come down. You know, like I have places to stay. I have rise places and stuff like that. Just because like and a lot of them are so happy that you're willing to make the time to like come hang out, come spend some time, you know, and it's just incredible, you know what I mean? Like people love when people are able when you make the time for like family and important people and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost just like a lot of people just don't do that enough. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like when you're the one who does do it, it's like, wow, that's awesome. Like,
And I think when you go visit your family, like on a holiday, like let's say you go to your aunt's house let's say everyone
hmm
comes together at your aunt's house
yeah,
for Thanksgiving. It's like the most like exhilarating experience seeing everyone again
yeah,
and just seeing that like and then asking well, how like what have you been up to?
yeah,
How's the job?
hmm
Obviously, if it's a new house that they live in, like you get to see their house,
hmm
and it's really cool. And it's just like man, family is one of the biggest things, and it's underrated. I think too. Some
hmm
people just look down on their family like they're just a nuisance, and like you can't wait to get
yeah,
out. But I think it's the other way around, man. If you have family that loves you and you haven't burned any bridges with like
hmm
any of your family members, it's super important to keep that relationship going. Keep that conversation open too is another thing that I like to say. Like, let's say you have something that bothers you at work or your job or regardless, you can always
hmm
have like your. It's basically like you basically get a psychologist, therapist, and like a low grade doctor when you call your mom. You know what I mean? They're going to be there to
yeah,
talk to you. They're going to talk to her. Let's say you have a cold. They're like, oh, I got this cold medicine that you can take. So it's like you get all three in one when you talk to your
hmm
mom. You know.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like you definitely always find myself like you always call your parents first, you know, if you have a question about something or like need help with something, like they're like the go-to and there's always like an answer, you know, and there's never obviously they don't judge you for having like a stupid question or something like that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas sometimes if you ask someone else, like you know that they're kind of thinking like, what? You need to know about that or
Exactly.
yeah, something like that. So definitely like you could say the no judgment zone kind of thing is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I like you mentioned, you know, reconnecting with people, you know, for like parties or like, you know, family events, stuff like that. Definitely like it was awesome when I got to go to California this year for my cousin's wedding because it was the first time that, like, I got to, like, really spend time with, like, the majority of, like, my older cousins. So, like, there's, like a
Okay.
huge, I'd say, like, a huge age gap in my family. So there's, like, a handful of us that are, like, so I'm 23 now, so, like, we'll say 24 and younger,
Okay.
right? And then everyone else is, like, almost 30, or, like, maybe, like, late 20s and above 30.
Right.
Right? So there's like that, and those people are all have been married either for a while, or they're getting married, or they have kids kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And then
Mm-hmm.
like the younger part is just getting out of high school or in high school, just went to college, or just got out of college kind of thing. So there's such a different demographic,
Right.
and I've never really connected with those cousins that are married and like have a family and all that, until now. And it was just great to be able to like start to build a relationship that really wasn't even there before, because I've
Mm-hmm.
never spent any like time with them. Because like anything, when you start, I'm sure we've mentioned this before, but like I think you can agree. But once you decide to start a family, your life becomes about your kids and your
Oh
family,
yeah.
and
Like
everything else kind of literally gets put on the back burner.
exactly.
You completely turn around and you have to dedicate everything in your life to your family and making sure that they're taken care of and that they're going to be successful. It's no longer about
Right.
you in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly. And it's almost like you have to give that unconditional love, which takes 100%, 140% of your energy.
Hmm.
I guess a good question is, how do you feel about kids, and what age do you have to be to, I guess, quote unquote, take care of a kid? Like, what do you think about
Hmm.
that?
I don't know. Like, that's such an interesting question, and that's cool that you brought that up because I wanted to talk about getting married and stuff. Like, what's the age to get married? So
Right.
we could talk about the kids first, because it all kind of, to me, it all plays on the same playing field.
Exactly.
I think with everything that like I've learned when it comes to like self development of like finding a career and choosing a path and everything, like I really believe that before you can really like especially start a family with kids,
Mm-hmm.
you need to know what you want for yourself, both now and long term. you know so
Mm-hmm.
whether you want to have your financial goals, you want to have your personal goals, your job, what would you say, job goals, what would you call that, career goals.
Career
Career
goals,
goals.
yeah.
Yeah.
Profession goals.
So you want to have like those goals in those three areas, and you want to make sure that your life is set up to where you're on track to do it, to having like the ones you want at the top,
Mm-hmm.
but then you're also getting things done now. And
Exactly.
because like I said, when you mentioned, when you decide to have kids, like your life's about them. So unless you've mastered the art of your business or your career,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to be putting in 120% on your career number when you have kids, in my opinion. You
Right.
want to be able to take it down a peg in your career. You're comfortable with where you're at, and you can start put in just 100 or 75. You're not really trying to advance anymore in your career almost,
Right.
once you start a family, because you want to be able to take all that time and spend it with your kids and your
Exactly.
family. You want to spend all your time there. That's where your time needs to be, is with them, not working all the time. You
Right.
know what I mean? So
So I
that needs
guess
to be on par when you
right.
decide to have kids.
So I think the long-winded answer to my question was you have to be, because I guess I was looking at age range,
I
from the
think it.
question.
I don't think it matters. You know what I mean?
Right. You
I
have to
mean,
be
I
set up.
definitely think there's people that can start a family like right away out of high school, even, or
Mm-hmm.
right after college, and they can have a great family. You know what I mean? And have a
I
loving
totally
family
agree.
and all that. Because like we've mentioned before, it's all about choosing your lifestyle and how you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
When we talked later about the whole money thing, money's very important, but overall, regardless of what you decide to do, you have to create the lifestyle that you want, figure out what it's going to cost and how you're going to live it,
Mm-hmm.
and then live it. And as long as you can do that,
Totally.
you can do anything, any
Totally.
age, any time. It just all depends on what and how you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You have to decide how you want to live. And then when you're living that way, be okay with it. Or if you're not okay with it, then change it.
Right. I totally agree. And I know down the road, at least for me, I really want to. I guess this is like kind of a life goal. I really want to get married before I have kids. I know
Hmm.
that's like it's a weird stigma, whether if you're
Mhm.
religious or spiritual. Um, you should obviously get married. You should not. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing because like in today's culture and today's society, a lot of people are having kids before marriage, which is totally okay. I have no issues
Mhm.
with that, and I think eventually down the road, that's probably what's gonna happen with me because I think when you get married, and there's a couple people that I talk to on a regular basis that think marriage is kind of like a weird contract, and then when you get married, it's kind of like this weird situation where you're kind of stuck in a way. But then when you're not married, you're basically the same thing regardless.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you really need to get married? Or are you just trying to have all your friends come to your wedding
Mhm.
and then do like the stereotype, which is go to have a vacation basically right after your marriage? So it's
Uh-huh.
like, I guess for the cultural trends, that is
Mhm.
the way to go, is like get married,
Yeah.
invite all these people to this event center and have a dinner with them for the final saying, hey, we're married
Mhm.
now. You know what I mean? It's like, do you really need to do that? Or are you just
Yeah.
trying to fill some void for
Uh-huh.
your family?
I've heard about like kind of like we are talking about because like how people feel limited. I think that kind of all goes back to relationships. I don't think being married like in my opinion, marriage shouldn't like change a relationship to where someone could feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, it is like marriage is a contract. You know, it's a written piece of paper. It's a document. That's what it
Right.
is. Like physically,
Government.
that is
Yeah.
what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But in the terms of a growing and loving relationship, if you love someone and your relationship is thriving, on all cylinders, communication, everything's aligned, you really love each other, you're passionate, you're compassionate, and all those kind of things, if you decide to finally get married, nothing changes,
Right.
nothing should change, I guess you could say, with the piece
Right.
of paper.
Mm-hmm.
You just now have a piece of paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
But I can
it's
see
weird.
how, because like I said, it all depends on how people feel about relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
we can talk about this more because I definitely have to do a lot more like have notes about relationships so I don't like forget things and stuff like that. There's a lot to like relationships and stuff like that. And I think, it all depends on how you view the relationship. And like I said, if it's not thriving, then yeah, you might feel like marriage is going to hold you back. You know what I mean? If things aren't aligned and you're both not aligned with where you want to go and stuff like
Totally.
that. And
Totally.
you're not even in a way like accepting of what the other person's doing. You know what I mean? Like if you wanted to do something, take a chance on something, or have an opportunity to do something, in your career or business or something, and then your girlfriend or then wife is like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? Like yeah, that definitely feels like it's holding you back. Like
Mm-hmm.
that person should be supporting you and saying, yeah, go for it. I'm going to sacrifice whatever I need to for you to have make that opportunity be a success for yourself.
Mm.
That's in my opinion, that's just part of a good relationship
I
is the
totally agree.
support.
And it's strange too because obviously when you're in a relationship, you should always support each other. But I
Hmm.
also like how you can have a devil's advocate. Like, let's say you really wanted to go, um, like do another job, and vice versa. Like, let's say you want to get a new job, regardless of the situation or wherever you're at. Let's say your partner or your girlfriend or boyfriend was like, I don't think that's the best for you. And whether you take that the wrong way or the right way, you really
Yeah.
have someone else on the side saying, I don't think this is going to be good for you.
Yeah, I don't know
You know
if
what I
you're gonna
mean?
like that or if is that
Like
really you? I
personal
don't think that's really
interest.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And I find that to be very, at least the relationship that I have, we're very connected. Like, we vibe well. We basically just talk about anything and everything, regardless of
Yeah.
the situation. And 1 minute we can be like just arguing about what we're gonna have for dinner, and then the next minute we can just be like, what movie we're gonna watch. So it's just weird things like that,
Mhm.
and stuff comes up all the time about where we want to be in like 10 years, 5 years,
Yeah.
regardless if we're together or not. Obviously, we're thinking positively, and we're gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna be together. But I definitely want to get out of Ohio within
Mhm.
10 years. Obviously, that's a very long term goal.
Yeah.
10 years could basically be, I'll be 20, I'll be 33.
Yeah.
Um, but, regardless, it's just down the road. And whether we're together or not, which I think we will be,
Mhm.
it's good to see that we're both understanding that, like, hey, in 10 years, we both would like to be out of Ohio,
Yeah.
regardless. Could be in another country, state, whatever it is. So it just depends.
Yeah. Like we mentioned about having coherent goals and stuff like that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like you both want the same thing. So that's good for a relationship. You know, that's showing that connection, that trust, and like that you're aligned in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. And I think that's like a good point to bring up, like the the age people getting married, because like when I see people getting married so young, I think, you know, I think that's awesome, obviously, but part of me thinks kind of like what I said before. It's just like I hope one of them or not both of them, you know, aren't limiting their future or what they really want to do because they're deciding to get married now and, you know, get the
Get a
house and
mortgage.
do all
Yeah.
these things. The more I'm learning about finances and money and stuff like that. I'm seeing like how almost when you start committing to all these like long-term things when you're younger, you're literally limiting yourself in what
Mm-hmm.
you're able to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you guys want to move, right? So if you were to like get a house or something now, or, you know, it was say like a house or something, that dream of moving right now by the before you're 30, right? It's still possible, but you know, I don't want to go through the process of selling a house, you know, that I don't have
Oh
paid
yeah.
for or something like that
Mm-hmm.
and all that, you know what I mean? Like why would I commit to that 15-year or 30-year thing of a house if I want to move in 5 years? You know what I
Totally.
mean? Like it just doesn't make sense to go through all the work and everything to do that and then to pack it all up because that
Right.
house isn't an asset, you know what I mean? And throughout those 5 years you're just going to pour money into something that you're going to get rid of,
Right.
right?
I totally agree.
So, I mean, that's great if you want to settle down right away, but like I just feel like people are going to that people fall in the trap of limiting themselves to what they can do and what's possible.
Right.
So,
And I think I mentioned something about when we were thinking about moving in together, about getting a condo or like a small
mhm.
house.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason why we backed out was because of that same reason. And I watched something very particular. I think it was. I don't know. Regardless of this, whoever it was, I'll give credit to them eventually. It was saying something about like renting or buying a house,
Mhm.
and it basically what I got from it was when you rent a house, you're really not in under circumstance for like that contract for 30 years. Like if let's say you get a 30-year mortgage, whether or
Mhm.
not you sell it in 5 or 6 years, you're still kind of tied down to that house.
Yeah.
If you don't sell it, that is. If you sell it and
Mhm.
get rid of it, obviously there's a different story. But let's say you don't sell it and you want to move, and you're kind of limited because you want a time frame or time
Yeah. You can't just
time
pack up and
restraints.
go. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like let's say you get a job opportunity with your cooking thing in I don't know, we'll just say New
Washington.
York or Florida, right?
Okay,
They're
yeah.
like this guy comes out of nowhere and says, "I want you to be my personal chef, you know, 365 days a year."
Bingo.
Right now, you could say, "All right, I'll be there Monday." You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
could pack it up this weekend and go. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's no big deal. But if you have a house, you got to go through the long process. You know, you're still paying this hefty mortgage on top of where you're going to live now,
Hmm.
and it's just not as easy to pack up and go. So, like I said, it feels like you're limiting your options in a way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I I definitely have an opportunity to like live in Florida for a time,
Hmm.
and just pay rent somewhere. And you know, I could live down there for a couple of years, right? But I have a house now, so with the house, I can't just I don't just want to go down there for you know a year. You know what I mean? I'd rather
Right.
just stay here, work my job, do the school thing, do whatever, and then just visit there when I can. You
Right.
know what I mean? Whereas if I didn't have a house, I'd be more willing to leave the job either permanently or like leave the absence thing and go down there for a while.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm just more apt to do that.
So could you rent the house while you're gone?
I could, yeah,
But that
probably
would
could.
be that would be managing because you would have to have someone come out and fix stuff if something would go
Hmm.
wrong, or
Yeah,
let's say there's
I'm very
damages.
skeptical. One thing that I've learned, we could talk about this just briefly, but one thing that I've learned when it comes to investing in real estate and things like that, it's
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with if you directly manage properties. You know what I mean?
Right. I totally
Um,
agree.
but for someone like me, if I'm gonna be managing a property, I'm gonna have someone else be the manager, and I'll be the
Yeah.
step above that because I don't want to be the one who has to come out and fix things or deal with having to fix things. You know, I have
Right.
other things that are more important to my time than having to deal with that.
You rather pay someone to be on staff. basically,
Yeah.
like an employee.
So
That makes
that's kind of
sense.
where like doing individual things like houses and stuff like that, it is different,
Mm-hmm.
is harder, you know? So like my thing with for like real estate investing would either be like, doing ETF stocks and stuff like that, or finding like apartment complexes and things like that, or things like that that you can invest in, because you're not directly managing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're just the buyer and the seller of it. You know what I mean?
I
In
totally
and
agree.
out kind of thing.
Which is cool because I feel like
Hmm.
when you do that, you're kind of like the you're on the totem pole. You're on the
Hmm.
high end of the totem pole, and hopefully you'd be profiting more passively at least from that,
Yeah.
with your time management and hopefully having more time to do other things
Hmm.
than worrying about some real estate that you own that you need to manage basically yourself,
Yeah.
which would make sense. And it's funny that you brought up being a personal chef to someone in like a different state because I've had two conversations with individuals way older than me though, not like my age at all. Because if they were my age and they were having a personal chef, obviously like that would be crazy, and they're probably very well off and wealthy. But I have this client that's coming up in November, and I think I mentioned it to you briefly on Snapchat. But they're vacationing from
Oh yeah,
Pennsylvania.
yeah.
Yeah, they're vacationing from Pennsylvania to Ohio, somewhere in Ohio. I'm not gonna mention it for personal reasons, but basically they need someone to cook for their family for 6 weeks at the beginning of November to basically the beginning of December. It's gonna be 7 days a week, and it's not like an everyday thing because they specifically want meals they can reheat
Hmm.
and just go, and I don't need to be there constantly because obviously if I was going to be there constantly they're going to get billed accordingly, and then that's for 6 weeks. That could be a lot of money. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're a personal chef you can charge for me my services and everything that I would want to accomplish for them. I would be very personal with them obviously, and I would hopefully make conversations regarding things that interest them as well. I'm not going to be just like a
Hmm.
personal chef. I would be more or less like a guy that's there cooking for them,
Yeah.
kind of like a personality, and to inform them on their healthy decisions or nutritional guidelines, whether they have it or not. And I would probably charge around $50 to $75 an hour
Hmm.
with labor and buying all the groceries, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it just depends. And then obviously they would get billed accordingly. But that's coming up. That's coming up very soon. So I'm interested on how that's gonna go. And I
Hmm.
talked to my boss today about it, and he's very interested as well. So regardless, I'll have him back me up and
Yeah.
to benefit off him if he wants to do it with me. But they contacted me through my website, and it's like the fifth one that I've got off my website. I don't try to push it as much. Obviously, I have business cards, but I don't like just hand them out to everyone. Usually,
Yeah.
if I meet someone and they're cool, like they'll contact me, or
Hmm.
vice versa. So it's interesting how it all works out.
Yeah, it's definitely a good building platform to like have those people that do it, because then if they like you, like they'll definitely tell people. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
for
Mm-hmm.
someone like that who's doing that, obviously they're gonna know other people that are probably in the same boat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Would know people who stuff like that. So like it's a great way to like get yourself out there by doing those kind of things. And like you said, those things can be so lucrative. If you do it correctly and
Right.
manage it right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then even when you're doing that stuff, you still have so much time to do other stuff at the same time. You know what I mean?
I
Like that's
totally agree.
such a good side hustle, and then more things you could do that's outside of your normal job
Yeah, and it makes
or
it
your
fun and
normal income.
exciting
It's
to
extra.
have like the monotony of a full time job get broken up a little bit by other things. And you can kind of have more control over when you're a personal chef. You can kind of have more control unless they're like very specific on what they want. I can kind of I can recommend things that they might want to try,
Hmm.
or cook them something fun and then they like it, and then it's like everyone wins kind of situation.
Yeah.
Um, and I think when you have a personal when you're a person that wants a personal chef that basically just wants to like not worry about cooking, think about how much time you're saving that.
Yeah.
So the service that I'm providing is obviously going to be the utmost quality that I can put out personally, and
Hmm.
then some, obviously. Just think about all the time they're saving. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Clean up, groceries. I mean,
Hmm.
it's insane, and it's a huge business right now. And
Yeah.
one of my goals, I think I've mentioned it before, is to have an agency, which I know is like a huge thing. To employ people can go to the agency website and employ people that have like a brief bio and description about themselves, what they like to cook, what their
Mhm.
what their expertise is,
Yeah.
and they can hire them for the day, for the week, for several weeks. And there's in Ohio there's not a lot of those. There's actually like I can probably count them on my one hand the amount of places you can go and hire a chef. Okay, and I've been contacted by several across the United States just on Instagram alone that want to have me in their database for people to go and like hire specific chefs or whatever.
Mhm.
And I don't really have enough time to like do that because obviously I have a full time job. Let's say I wasn't working at all full time, and I would get a request to all these agencies, and then I would put my name out there
Mhm.
and get hired from there. But it's a little different when you need income, I guess. For obviously you can do it with the full time job, but it's harder because then you would have to take time off to do other
Yeah.
things. Regardless, that is like my one of my main goals in life when like down the road is to have an agency where people can put their resumes in and pictures and a bio, and people get hired through my agency because obviously
Yeah.
agencies are huge right now. Social media marketing agencies are like the biggest thing since toasted bread, to be honest with you, in today's society.
Yeah, no, that's definitely like a great idea for just any kind of, you could say, startup or something like that. Like
It's
it's
like a business model.
definitely an emerging market kind of thing. Like you said, there's not many of them out there,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to bring that to like a local level and then you to be able to expand it, like that's just such a great idea and something that you should
Mm-hmm.
definitely go for. You
I
know.
totally agree.
So yeah, the like you said, the importance of just having those side things outside of your main income source or job is so important to growing like your career, your brand, y- your business, or just simply your career. It's just so important. It's
Mm-hmm.
something I think a lot of people undervalue and don't even think about when it comes to money and income and stuff like that.
Right.
Definitely. So this segue into this with that for sure is I the book I'm reading right now talks so heavily on the idea that schooling and formal schooling teaches you how to be an employee and work for an income versus being creative and being able to be an entrepreneur or an investor
Mm-hmm.
or thinking of other sources of income. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, because you go to school, they tell you they teach you what's right and wrong. Think about it this way, right? In school, like they ask you a question and you learn that X is the correct answer, but you do the math or figure something out and you think Y is the answer, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and they're like, no, you're wrong. X is the answer. But you're like, well, if you do it this way or if I do it this way, this makes sense. But school
Right.
teaches you that no, one answer is the right way. You know what I mean?
You get the same
It's
outcome with a different
Yeah, it like
equation.
stifles your creativity by saying this is the way to do it, and don't do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It teaches you the one way to do something in a sense.
I totally
And
agree.
you're taught in school to go to school, get your degree, get educated, then go get a job. And that's how you survive. That's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You're never taught like how else could you make money? What else can you do? Whether that's start your own business, just like get involved in investing in something,
Mm-hmm.
other companies, things like that, other ways to grow your income, you know what I mean, and gets money working for you. I don't want to talk about this a lot in this one, but thinking about like I've talked about this before, how to get your money making money for you and not
Right.
you working to make money, but money working for you.
Right.
Money working to
Mm-hmm.
make you money.
I totally agree.
And
We
just
can bring that up in our next podcast. It's going to come up right after this if you want. And it sounds like a great. I think it almost sounds like what Grant Cardone said. I don't know if you
a
got
little
that in
bit.
your
I think
mind.
so. Definitely like
Yeah.
a little bit.
But we can easily bring that up after this, and I'd love to
Yeah.
talk more about it because you made me think of something in my head that I was going to talk about on our next one, which is awesome because I was kind of trying to think about it.
Nice.
But making your money work for you, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love that because it's so many questions get brought up.
Uh-huh.
But regardless, it's yeah.
No, yeah, like definitely. Like it's not definitely not something that like really I've thought a lot about or heavily about until like
Mm-hmm.
kind of recently like getting into all this, like actually thinking about like, yeah, that's actually how you become successful, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you don't want to just go to work, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so, like, I wanted to ask, this is what the question I wanted to ask was, do you really think going to college then and everything is actually really necessary to create, a successful financial or a successful life, Today's age, I think it's a lot less useful than others. But I think one thing that's definitely stressed throughout, like, what I'm reading is, like, it's okay to go to school, and get your job or whatever, but you can't fall into the trap of just having that be your thing, you know what I mean? You still
Right.
have to be able to think outside of the box, and that's something that a
Hmm.
lot of people just don't do once they get into the career. Like, as I'm listening to this stuff, I'm kinda like, "Man, I don't know if I really even wanna finish, like, going to college anymore," like, but part of that is also, like, right now, obviously, when you first start out college, it's basic stuff. You're not even learning what you want to learn
Hmm.
yet. So the interest really isn't there. But then it's like, oh, I'm just utilizing my career path right now. Once I'm done with this, I plan on using this as an opportunity to increase my income so I can save and invest more. But
Hmm.
then also, I want to be able to move somewhere else. So it's a perfect opportunity for that. So
Totally.
that's why I'm doing, you know what I mean? That's like harnessing the power of like getting the education.
Hmm. I totally agree. And it's funny when you said outside the box, because it's like literally it's like outside the school box. When you think about it like that, I mean, honestly, to me, in a weird way, schooling, especially like primary school and like high school, it's like a glorified babysitter.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
unless you're like a single parent that works from home and like can homeschool your children or whatever, you drop them off at school, you go to work, and they're either home before you get off or vice versa. Like you're home
Hmm.
when they get off. Like it's a very weird like concept. And there's several people that are on YouTube that I watch that are going and just like basically touring. Someone in particular, his name's Spencer, that is basically touring all these schools, saying that like this isn't really what you want to do. And it's kind of weird when you tell someone that out of the norm, like this is what you want to do, when in reality they've been at school for 8 years now. You know what I mean? Going into high school, because that's where he's going to be going. So it's definitely a weird situation.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I don't regret anything I've done, like go to college or go to like high school and middle school and you know pre-K through 12. I
Yeah.
it was great experience. You meet a lot of people, you meet friends. When you're homeschooled, you're kind of limited on your social interactions.
Mhm.
And I think in today's society with the phones and all the things online, like you can kind of get washed. Like let's say we didn't go to school, Ryan, and we were learning from our parents and through the internet. That's all we would get, obviously, unless you like go out and do like sports and something like that through like a rec league. Just think about the difference in your personality, how it would be. You know what I mean? I think it would be a very weird situation for me if I didn't have high school.
No, I think that's a great kind of place to end, wrap it up. The idea of schooling and money kind of ties into what we're going to talk about in the next episode. So that's really great.
Hmm.
Um, it's just, there's just so much that to think about with like technology and times changing, and that I don't want to say people still kind of going with the old instead of in with the new, but it just feels like with the way everything's going, everyone's just kind of limiting themselves and like what they can do.
Right.
And we want to be able to like change that. Get people thinking about the other things that they can do, and you know, by seeing us possibly do other things, maybe it'll get you thinking about doing other things instead of
Right.
just that one thing, because the opportunities are there, and when you harness those opportunities and do the other things, you're going to have a quality of life that's just like, unmatched,
I
in
totally
my
agree.
opinion.
I totally agree.
So we want to say thanks everyone for tuning in and listening to episode number 6. David, where can everyone find us?
Everyone can find us on our Facebook at Overcaffeinated Overqualified. Twitter is Overqualified. YouTube is Overcaffeinated Overqualified. Instagram is Overcaffeinated Overqualified. The only one that's different there is Twitter, which is Overqualified. Regardless, thank you for tuning in.
I know. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys were able to take something away from the conversation we had. If you did, feel free to mention it down below. Share any topics you might have for future episodes and anything you might have learned. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch everyone in the next one.